What is going on, guys? DBG here, and today we are going to be going over the best point guards in NBA 2K21 MyTEAM, and we're going to be making a tier list. Again, before we get on to it, this is all personal preference. If you guys disagree with it, that's fine, and it is all based around the play style that I currently play. I'm going to be ranking it from S tier to worthless tier, and yeah, this is going to be the third last. It'll be the third last in a month of 2K, which is kind of crazy. Like, for me, it's just kind of crazy that this year has gone like so quickly. It's gone a lot quicker than other years. Mainly because I've been locked down. We've been locked down for 90% of it in Ireland, so like we may even continue to be locked down for even longer, it's looking like. Because we've been threatened with another lockdown. So yeah, it's I don't have a breeze what's going on in this country right now. But anyway, yeah. So now let's get on to it. So first of all, Alex Caruso. I think third tier point guards is fair for Alex Caruso. He's got good height. His wingspan's a little bit on the short side, but at the end of the day, he is a really good player. He is a really good player. So like that can't be disregarded. He's a really decent shooter. His overall movement is good. I don't think there's much bad with the card at all. So B tier, I just don't think he's... I think the top two tiers probably aren't the greatest for him. I don't think he belongs in one of those top two tiers, but I'll say this. B tiers, I think, right for him. And same with Andre Miller. Very similar cards. Very similar cards. I know a lot of people would be... Some people would be higher on Andre Miller, some people would be higher on Caruso. I personally am a little bit higher on Caruso, but I think they're very similar in terms of just how they are in game. So yeah, we have got him here in B tier. Okay, then we are going to put in Ben Simmons. At this stage in the game, I mean, he's a 6'10" point guard, so I can't put him worthless tier. I mean, I'm putting him in E tier. I'm sorry, I'm putting him in E tier. Yeah, I think that's the fairest place to put this card. I don't think he's up to much, to be honest. I really don't think he's up to much. So I think E tier is fair for him. He was great though back in his day. It's just there are a lot of 6'8", 6'9" point guys that can shoot that are like 3 KMT. So now we have got this Ben Simmons S in the conversation for best point guard in the game. Like him, it is preference based. Like more people prefer Giannis, but like if you're saying Simmons is number one, I mean you can argue it. Like Simmons gets equally as good animations as Giannis, in my opinion. So yeah, you want to put him anywhere but S, you're crazy. This CP3 is worthless. Let me explain why. Chris Paul, for some reason, has the Chris Paul dribble style, which is the worst dribble style in the game. If you're on next gen, he can't move, and I wouldn't necessarily use the guy if you were on current gen. His height means more on current gen than it does on next gen. But like if you're looking at a card like this, it's just unusable. It is just straight up unusable. Chris Webber. I think at this stage in the game, what Chris Webber has going for him isn't much. I really don't think it's much, so I'm going to go for Chris Webber in B. I mean, you could definitely argue him higher. I think B's probably the best place for him, to be completely honest. Yeah, I'll go with that. I'll go B tier. Clem, C or D? D probably for Clem. He's only got a release on quick, and I get it. Like even though his release is on quick, he's got some very good things going for him. Like, he really, really does. He's an all-around good player. But, again, he's 6'3", and has flaws. Not the greatest defender. Dame. I'm going to do this with my tiers. I'm going to put Andre Miller in C tier. I'm going to put Dame in B. There's a lot of these guys that are basically the same card, and Dame is in that crew. There are about 10 different players that are like basically the same card. The undersized athletic point guards with like unbelievable jump shots. Or with like unbelievable jump shot ratings, unbelievable dunk ratings, but are just too undersized to be like the most effective players in the game. So I think that's where Dame is going now. And okay, now we are going to go on to D'Angelo Russell. If you're on, I'm going to put D'Angelo Russell B tier. If you're on current gen, he's probably A. If you're on next gen, he's probably C. So I'll go B. He's definitely better on current gen than he's on next gen. Like, I'm not as high on him as I know a lot of people are. I think a lot of people are quite high on D'Lo. And I'm just like, he's fine. And that's the best way I can describe him, is like, fine. Other than that, I think he's decent. He's fine. There's no other real way to describe it, is there? He's fine. He's got a bad release, 6'5", which is an average height for current gen. He's, in terms of like recent cards, he's an average shooter. He's usable. De'Aaron Fox, D at this stage. He was good when he came out, though. He was good for his time. Boogie Cousins, our first A-tier center or point guard. He is a center, a point guard. He's very good on current gen. If we're talking current gen, he's an S tier. Low S tier, but he'd be S tier. But no, on next gen, he's not. He's bad. He's bad, so he's going A tier. Darren Williams, C tier. Definitely better than these guys. In my opinion, he's nowhere near as good as even a Dame on next gen. And on current gen, Darren Williams is very weak. So I'll go C tier for Darren Williams. I did love him for his time, though. Darren Williams was a beast, in my opinion, when he came out. The week he came out, he was one of my favorite point guards in the game. Derrick Rose. If you're asking me who I prefer, Derrick Rose or anyone in B tier, I'd take anyone in B tier, but I'll put D Rose in. He's a little bit outdated. He's not that outdated. He's a little bit outdated for a dark matter. I'm going to reluctantly put him C tier, but if you want to argue B, that's fine. Dom Buse. I think Dom Buse is kind of close to Derrick Rose. I'm going to put him D tier, but I think he's closer to Derrick Rose. I don't know. I'll go D. Donald, C tier. Donald and Derrick Rose. Donald's a slide up. Donald, Derrick Rose did basically the same card. In game, I have felt no difference. It's just Derrick Rose is obviously a bigger name, so people are going to be more interested, which is understandable. Like, if you're using Derrick Rose for like how good he is in game, then yeah, he's not really a great card. But if you're using Derrick Rose based on the fact you really like Derrick Rose, then fire ahead, man. Fire ahead, because he's actually pretty decent. He's pretty usable. He's just not spectacular. Then we have got Fat Lever. C tier as well. Some people with a Fat Lever higher. I don't know why I don't like him. Like, it's a weird one because I should like Fat Lever. Like, I should really like Fat Lever. Like, I've been looking at that card. I've been looking at his stats. He's got the X and base. Like, there's a difference between should like a card and actually like a card. And this card is one of those cards to summarize that. Because I looked at everything about this card and I'm like, I really should like this card. Especially as a point guard. Or especially as like a small point guard. But I don't even think he's elite as a small point guard. So, yeah. Let's put him into D tier. Frank Ntilikina. Or sorry, put him into C tier. Frank Ntilikina, C. C, that's where he belongs. Freddie VanVleet. E. He's 6'1". 6'1". Gold clamps. E tier. Peyton. Peyton's better than D Rose. He's definitely a tier above. He's B tier. Peyton's definitely. Is Peyton better than all these guys? He is. I'm gonna say low A tier for Peyton. Giannis S. Grant Hill. I'm trying to keep S tier to a minimum. So let's just say we know LeBron is S. Like, these three are streets ahead. They're streets ahead on. I'm trying to think. Honestly, on either gender, streets ahead. So, yeah. I'll stick with that on whether you're on current gen or whether you're on next gen. They are definitely streets ahead in terms of overall cards. But yeah, let's go with Grant Hill. This is a tough one because is he the fourth best player on this list? Maybe. Like, the first three are way ahead, but it's like, for me, you've got to look, if you're looking for S tier guys to run at the point after these guys. I'm looking at, obviously Grant Hill is great. Then you're looking at the likes of Batum, Josh Smith. Is Josh Smith the primary point guard? Or is he a primary two guard? What way does the alphabet work? Yeah, Josh Smith does not seem to be in here. I think he's a primary two guard. Like, Josh Smith would be my number 4 if he was. Like, I would have Josh Smith, and because of how good he is on next gen, I would have Nick Batum. If you could play like secondary point guards in here, that's the way I would have the list. And Grant, I'll put 5. I'll put 5 in this tier. Grant Hill going. Hal Greer, he's undersized, but he's like the best 3 hunting point guard in the game. So it's tough for me to not put Hal Greer into B tier. Jamal Murray, at this stage in the game, Jamal Murray's D tier. Yes, he's solid on current gen. He's not unbelievable on current gen. He's solid on current gen. He was good for his time. Or sorry, he's not good on current gen. He's solid on next gen. Ja Morant, he's the best. Like, of all the small, like, 6'3" ultra athletic point guards with no steady, which are the current gen ones. Like, the ones with steady, like Dame, Steve Nash, etc. Those guys are all next gen made. Whereas the current gen made ones, Ja's the best of them all. I mean, if I'm putting Dame in B tier, I'm putting Ja in B tier. Jet Terry, I mean, he's very comparable to like a Derrick Rose, to be honest. Like, if you're looking at that card, same with like a Steve. Do I have Steve Francis on this list? Yeah, like Marbury is literally just Derrick Rose. Marbury, they're the same card. Like, exact same cities. They're clones of each other. They're as close to being clones as it is. But like, even Jet Terry, you're looking still. Actually, he's got no showtime, but he's a better shooter. 22 is probably better than Rose. Oh, I don't know. Maybe moving Rose up a tier. I'm going to compare him to Marbury because I don't want to move Marbury up a tier. I want to see how much of the actual difference there is, because from what I've seen, there's almost no difference. Nah, there's enough of a difference and half showtime. And they both have half showtime. I mean, they're basically the same card. They are basically the same card, except Derrick Rose is a plus 27 post fade, a plus 25 standing dunk. Like, they're the same card, and they have the exact same. Yeah, they're exact clones in terms of animations, so I can't separate these two in tiers. Jet, maybe I'll move. No, I'll keep the Jet in C tier. I'm gonna keep the Jet in C tier. Jason Williams, he's like he's D. He's like imagine a 6'1" Derrick Rose. That's basically Jason Williams. His release isn't bad though. Jeremy Lin at this stage in the game, D tier. He's like Don O, worse animations. Like, I preferred Don Buse to Jeremy Lin when they were both out at the same time. Jerry West. I don't mind Jerry West, but like, is he better than Jason Williams? Maybe not. Like, I actually don't mind this card. I've used him in a few gameplays. I actually don't mind him. I actually do not mind him, to be completely honest. But I think D tier is probably fair for him. Like, he's got a long... No, I'll give him C. Like, again, a lot of these cards are kind of similar. John Wall, wherever Derrick Rose is. John Wall C tier as well. Yeah, again, it is purely preference. Whether John Wall or whether Derrick Rose is the better card. Because, like, I prefer Wall, but I know most people prefer Rose. And that's perfectly fine. It is perfectly fine. We all, like, every one of us has different preferences when it comes to my team. But for me, I just prefer Wall. This John Wall, though, I mean, he's not that much worse. Put him 1 tier lower in D tier. He's not that much lower. Let's put in the bad tiers. Okay. This Steph. Yeah, this Steph in E. He's definitely not worthless, though. Because of so many alternatives, he's not terrible on next gen. We're going to put Dinwiddie in worthless because he is literally unusable on current gen. You will not be able to function with Spencer Dinwiddie on current gen. I'm telling you, he's like unusable. He's like unusable on current gen. So I'm going to put him in this tier. Then we have got, not Drew. Drew's definitely not going in the bad tier. I mean, he's too small. He's just too little. He's going E tier. Slightly better than Chris Paul. Dampier, Dampier probably belongs in this tier, but because he's an exchange award, I'm putting him worthless. At this stage of the game, Wall Frazier. The only reason he's in there is because I'm pretty sure he's more than 100k. He's on this list. He's worthless. Kyrie at this stage of the game is worthless. Because Rod Strickland's just the equivalent of him, but he was free. I don't know what to do with Strickland. I didn't even put the other Kyrie. The other Kyrie would probably go into C or D. We're going to one of these 2 tiers. Probably C tier. Because he's decent on current gen. Who else is low? This Steve Nash is going to go D tier. Trae Young's going to go E tier as well. Just too small player build, and his release isn't good enough to counteract that. Is there anyone else that belongs in the low U here? I don't think there's anyone else here that belongs in these bottom 2 tiers. Because Drew Holiday, definitely D tier for Drew Holiday. He's solid. He's actually pretty decent on defense. He's a lot better than I thought he was going to be. Like, I really did think he was going to be just this absolute just garbage card. So for me, Drew Holiday is going into D tier. Like, I thought, 6'3" point guard. He's actually pretty decent. Okay. Kirk Heinrich. D tier as well. I'm not as high on Kirk Heinrich as I was at one stage. I was very high at one stage on Kirk Heinrich. He gets really good defensive animations on current gen. So, like, he has a lot of good things going for him on current gen. I think on next gen, he's not nearly as good, but he's alright. So I think this tier is right for him. Kobe. A tier on current gen, C tier on next gen, B tier. B tier, but high B tier. No, you know what? I'll give Kobe the benefit of the doubt and put him in A tier. I'll put him in A tier. Personally, I'd use any of these guys in B tier over him. Even some of the C tier guys, but that's only because I'm a next gen player and he's better than everyone on current gen outside of A tier. So, and he may be even the best on current gen in A tier. So I'll give him A tier. Larry, A. Doesn't quite belong, I don't think, in the top 5. He might end up there. He's really good for me on next gen. I use him as my backup point guard to Nick Batum. The only thing with him is that he's not my primary ball handler. I use the other Ben Simmons, the Pink Diamond Simmons, as my primary ball handler. These hot zones don't really matter on next gen. You can hit everything anyway. And then Larry Bird kind of acts as a cone because he's actually a really good defender and a great shooter. So I like him, but if you don't, I can see why some people don't. Lonzo, A. Luka, A. Lonzo is like 6'6", good handle, good behind the back. Curry, good release, great defensive animations on current gen. And then Luka, I think, is just that little bit of a step up on like an Alex Caruso and stuff. Luka has got... If Luka had his release on very quick, he would still be used in... I reckon half people in the game would still use him in their teams. Because he's got X and base, which is probably the best catch and shoot base in the game. And on next gen, the best overall base in the game. He's got a solid upper. He's also got a really half decent dribble sigs. Again, Pro 1 behind the back's probably next best after Pro 3. Especially if you were on next gen. He's got half showtime, half range extender. Gold clamps is irrelevant. The most important thing, when it comes to the clamps badge, the gap between, as I always say, the gap between no clamps and bronze clamps is bigger than the gap between bronze clamps and Hall of Fame clamps. Hall of Fame clamps, look, it matters. It's better than gold. But if Luka's guarding the other team's cone, it's not going to make that much of a difference. And yeah, Luka S or A tier in my opinion. Hey, this Magic, B because he can't run. This Magic is the top 5. Yeah, these are my 5. Looking at these guys right here, none of these other guys compete. I don't think anyone can really argue. Maybe if you want to say, oh, I'm on current gen, so I'm going to put Boogie in over one of these two guys. Fair enough, you prefer them. If you're on next gen, you'd probably throw Larry in your top 5. But in my opinion, these are the top 5 primary point guards in the game. Then we got Brogdon. Next gen made, D tier for Brogdon. He's kind of like, he's not kind of like, he's Dinwiddie with a better release. That's what Brogdon is. 75 driving dunk. Yeah, like for me, Brogdon's not as good as Darren Williams, so he's going into this lower tier. Mike Conley, he's just too little. He's just too little, not athletic enough. E tier. Penny Hardaway, A. Penny's really nice. Penny can shoot, he can dribble, he dunks, he plays great defense. I mean, Penny does a little bit of everything in my team. So, Penny Hardaway, fair play. Fair play. Being an A tier, it's the first good Penny we've had in a long time in 2K. Rafer Alston. I mean, he's 6'2", but I think D tier is kind of fair for him. Nah, screw. He's got a 97 driving dunk. He's there. He has to be Jerry West here. He's got Kemba release a 97 driving dunk and good dribble 6, so he's got to be at least C tier. Rajon Rondo, he's just a little bit small. Like, he still dunks well, though, and his release is still pretty good. So, like, if you want to argue Rondo, like, again, it's preference. Like, for some people, Rondo would be down here in E tier. And then for some people, Rondo would be up in C tier. So, I'm going to say D tier. Again, you can score with him, but he's just something about him is not great. Ron Harper, B. If I'm going to put, like, Alex Caruso in B tier, I got to put Ron Harper in B tier. Yeah, I wouldn't use the guy on next gen, but he's good on current gen. He's really solid on current gen, but I would not use this guy on next gen. He can't really do anything. Unless, of course, you just want him as a cone. But that's really all he is on next gen. On next gen, a cone at the 2. Or a lockdown defender at the 1. Like, it's the only 2 roles he can play. Then we got Rod Strickland. I mean, if I've got Kyrie and Worthless tier, because he was free, I'll go E tier, but he's just Kyrie. That's literally what he is. Like, I'm pretty sure he's Kyrie's godfather, so 2K just made him a clone of Kyrie for some reason. Westbrook. I mean, if I've got Dame in B tier, I think I gotta put Westbrook in B tier. I think Westbrook, in my opinion, he's slightly worse than Derrick Rose on current gen, but he's a lot better on next gen. So I'm going to say he's a tier apart, but the whole thing with John Wall, Marbury, and Westbrook is, and Rose, yeah, maybe there is some bias, but I think that these 3 guys are not as good as Ja Morant, and I think that Westbrook and Dame, it's so tough to separate them guys. Steph, C tier. Steph is the worst of all. He's actually, you know what? He is and he isn't the worst. Steph can't play defense on either gen. But, like, Steph can cook on both gens. Steph is probably the best release. He's probably the best shooter in the game on next gen. He just can't get open. Like, if they give Steph Curry, I don't even care, blinders or not, if they give Steph Curry any dribble style other than the Steph Curry dribble style on next gen, this card would be used. And he could be used. He's like Muggsy Bogues slow. He's one of the slowest players I've ever used in the game. His speed is like 60 on next gen when he has the ball in his hands. Steph Curry is so slow. He is chicken though. But because he's so slow, yeah, I'm just going to say current gen hype means a lot more than next gen. Like, you can get away with small players a lot more on next gen than you can on current gen. So, first of all, on current gen, like, you know what? If you want to use him, use him. If Steph's your favorite player on either gen, use him, by the way. If you have fun with him, use him. But I'm just talking purely about in-game ability right here. And a player's in-game ability isn't changed by whether you like the card or not, whether you like him in real life or not. Have fun with the game, but I'm going to tell you if a card's not great. And I'm going to explain why Steph Curry sucks. The difference between this Steph Curry, and I get it, he's got his release on very quick, but Steph Curry release on quick and Steph Curry on very quick are basically the same. So, this Steph Curry right here, he's got Steph Curry dribble style, which basically means his speed turns to 60 when he has the ball. So he can't actually get to the basket on next gen to dunk the ball. The only difference really between this Steph Curry and the diamond Steph Curry. The diamond, the 2 pink diamonds, and the opal Steph Curry are basically the same card. Because, on next gen. Because the only thing they can do is, they all have a 99 3-pointer. The only thing they can do is hit threes. They all have a 99 3-pointer. And the only difference between them is that they get progressively better at dunking as time goes on, really. Because none of them can play defense anyway because of the way the game's programmed. And none of them can get to the basket. So both of the defense and dunking upgrades don't matter anyway because Steph Curry's still terrible at both of them. So he's got to go C tier. He's got to go C tier, unfortunately. Then we've got Steve Francis. Steve Francis, C tier. I actually kind of like his release and he dunks on everybody, so he's a little bit quicker, but obviously not as good a shooter as Steph. Steve Nash, C tier as well. I think Steve Nash is a step below a Westbrook and Lillard on next gen. I think Steve Nash is to those guys on next gen what the likes of Marbury and Wall and Rose are to Ja Morant on current gen. So I'm going to put Steve Nash in C tier. Halliburton, C tier. He was good for his time. He's like a slightly downgraded Alex Caruso. But man, was Halliburton good for his time. I really, really like that card. Zion Williamson. You know what? I'm going to give Zion Williamson a... Do I want to put Zion in A tier? He's definitely best to play at the 2. You know what? Player build wise, maybe it's free card bias. I'm putting Zion Williamson in A tier. He actually moves well. His release is pretty good. He dunks it well. Probably some free card bias there, but I don't really care. Zion Williamson, get into A tier. Get into A tier, lads. And then Utah. His actual tier, probably worthless. Fun factor, let me keep him off worthless tier. But we got to show Utah an S tier at some stage in the tier list. So anyway, yeah, that is pretty much it. This is the tier list in my opinion. It's all preference again. I mostly play next gen. Even though, I will say this. Because I've only just played next gen all year. For like... I've never learned the real cheese on next gen. Like, the side to side isn't the real cheese. Trust me, the way, like, forcing people to cut, there's a lot of things that I would consider more, quote unquote, the real cheese in the side to side on next gen. Like, I know how to do the 1v1 cheese. I don't know how to do the real cheese. The, like, bait defense. And not even the bait defense, the glitchy bait defense that forces players to cut in situations. They're, like, sending double teams to mess up the team's AI. Like, I don't know any of that cheese. Like, even though I play more... I barely play current gen. I'm probably better at current gen than next gen. Which is scary right now. Because I am by no means competitive on current gen. But, like, I've gone back and played some unlimited on current gen against some of the best teams in the game. And I've breezed through wins. Whereas every game's a sweat on next gen. It's either everybody's better on next gen, or I'm just better on current gen. It's a really weird one. But anyway, yeah, that's pretty much it. That is the video. Let me know what you guys think. Again, my list is not going to be your list. It's not going to be anyone else's list. And this is just my opinion from using all of these cards. So yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the video. Thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.